Okay, so the big news over the weekend, Alex Albon, is his time at Red Bull Racing maybe coming to an end? If you're watching qualifying in the Hungarian Grand Prix, the announcers were real hard on Alex Albon and kind of suggesting that he might be running out of time. So this weekend marked his 12th race with Red Bull Racing, which means he's now run the exact same amount of races that Pierre Gasly ran for Red Bull Racing 1 year ago. So I figured, let's take a look at these two drivers and compare their stats for their first 12 races at Red Bull Racing and see if Albon really is at risk of possibly losing his seat the way Gasly did just about a year ago. I've also taken the liberty of comparing their stats to Max Verstappen's stats over the same 12 races they ran against them. So let's get into it. Both Gasly and Albon are 24 years of age. Podiums, Gasly scored that podium in Brazil last year. Albon's still waiting for his first one. He's come close twice. Hamilton had some things to say about that, though. Last year, Gasly finished 7th with 95 points, most of which were accumulated with Red Bull Racing. Obviously, his podium with Toro Rosso got him over that hurdle to beat Albon, who finished 8th with 92 points. So what I've done is taken their first 12 races and kind of compared them side by side. So let's take a look at that. In the first two races, they kind of both have some similar results with Red Bull. Gasly qualifies 17th and 13th, Albon 14th and 8th, and then Gasly finishes 11th and 8th, where Albon finishes 5th and 6th, so a little bit better finishing for Alex Albon. Interestingly enough, rounds 3 through about 7, they qualify almost identically. 6th, then they both start from the pit lane, then 6th, then 5th, and Albon's going to have almost the exact same thing. 6th, pit lane, 6th, 5th, 6th, 6th, 5th. So they're kind of qualifying almost identically at this point through their first 12 races. However, I will say Albon's finishing a little bit better. Gasly's going to have a 6th. He's going to have a retirement, 6th, 5th, 8th, whereas Albon's going to go with a 6th, 5th, 4th, and a 5th. So at this point, Albon's racing a little bit better than Pierre Gasly is doing, but they're qualifying almost identically. And then their last 5 Grand Prix, that both of them kind of struggle here, and it's kind of interesting to note that they're both struggling at the same time. But I think when we look a little bit later about why they're falling under a microscope at different times, we'll be able to see it. So we'll go through that quickly. Their last 5 races. Pierre Gasly qualifies 9th, 5th, 4th, and 6th. Albon's got a 6th, 5th, 7th, and 13th. And from 8, 9, 10, 11, 12th in their races, Gasly finishes 7th, 4th, 14th, and 6th. And 2 times during that, his teammate Max Verstappen wins the Grand Prix. Meanwhile, Alex Albon races 8 through 12 with Red Bull Racing for him. He's got a real rough one here where he qualifies 6th, finishes 14th. That was that collision with Hamilton at Brazil. And Verstappen does go on to win that race. Also worth noting, Pierre Gasly does podium at that race once he had gone back to Toro Rosso, now AlphaTauri. And he's going to qualify 6th, 5th, 7th, and 13th. And his results are not going to keep getting better. That 14th at Brazil, 6th was okay, but then a 13th, a 14th before rebounding this week with a 5th. These last 3 races representing the first 3 Grand Prix of this year to get him to his 12 races. So let's take a look at their averages against each other. Pierre Gasly qualifying 7.7 is his average qualifying grid spot. Alex Albon 7.5. So they're qualifying almost identically through 12 races together. Not really anything separating these two drivers in that sense. However, finishes in his first 12 races, Pierre Gasly averaged a average finish of 8.5, whereas Alex Albon is averaging a 6.5. So it's 2 positions higher than what Pierre Gasly did through his first 12 races. Overtakes, plus minus, how many spots are they gaining during the race or losing during the race? It was worth noting Pierre Gasly wound up with a net gain of 0, net loss of 0, and an average of 0. And Alex Albon had a huge monster net gain of 23 spots gained in his first 12 races for an average of basically gaining 2 spots per Grand Prix. So, 12 races in, Pierre Gasly gets the axe, winds up getting demoted down to Toro Rosso, now AlphaTauri. Is worth noting that he really upped his game when he went back there, got that podium, and has looked much better and more comfortable in that role. Alex Albon, though, now coming under pressure after 12 races. I think he does have a little more rope, and here's why. Let's take a look at what Max Verstappen did in the 12 races when Pierre Gasly was his teammate, and what Max Verstappen did with Alex Albon in the last 12 races with him as his teammate. Gasly had to go up against a Max Verstappen that had a qualifying average of 4.2 and a monster finishing average of 3.3. So we're talking basically 3 grid spots, almost 4 grid spots higher in qualifying than Gasly, and almost 5 grid spots finishing over Gasly. And in that time, he also had 2 wins in Grand Prix. So by comparison, Gasly went up against a Verstappen that was firing all cylinders. Definitely not the same case with Albon. Verstappen's qualifying is actually better against Albon. He's averaging a 3.5 here, but here's a big noticeable difference. Albon's actually got a better average finish than Verstappen right now. He's averaging finishes at 6.5 compared to Verstappen's 7.5. It is worth noting that Verstappen in the same 12 races has had 3 retirements, whereas he had no retirements against Gasly. And he does have the 1 win as well, but noticeably Red Bull Racing in general has not raced as well the last 12 races, and Albon has had the benefit of going up against the Verstappen that has not performed as well as he did against Gasly. And I do think that's some of the reason why Pierre Gasly, by comparison to his teammate, which is always the first person you're compared to, has had a little bit shorter leash than it looks like Albon's going to get. But that said, only 2 spots average finishing ahead of Gasly. They're qualifying about the same. Albon's racing a little bit better during the day, but if you're Red Bull Racing, you're saying why you have to overtake 23 spots throughout 12 races. If you qualified better, we wouldn't need to do that. And Verstappen's qualifying monster, and eventually, like a monster here, and eventually if he gets that down to that 3.3 again, by comparison, Albon's going to look like he's struggling just as much, if not more, than Pierre Gasly did. So Gasly's got that 1 podium now since he left Red Bull. I think that's going to be the big thing for Alex Albon. He really needs to get himself on that podium the next couple weeks with, Racing Point racing the way they're doing right now, looking like they've got the speed. Mercedes being absolutely dominant. It's almost like you're racing for 1 podium spot at this point because Mercedes are going to have the other 2, barring any disasters on track. So I think Red Bull in general has their work cut out for them just for Max, but Alex Albon really has his work cut out for him because it looks like the leash is, maybe a little bit longer than Pierre Gasly, but it's getting shorter every week. So, for his sake, I do hope to see that he gets on the podium there soon. In my opinion, I think they cut Gasly loose a little too short. Or a little too soon, I should say. I do think that Gasly is a driver capable of succeeding at Red Bull had they give him a full season or 2. But with Red Bull taking a little bit of step back here with their speeds and not looking as competitive as Mercedes and maybe having to challenge with Racing Point coming up now, and who knows with what's going to happen with Ferrari. If Ferrari gets it figured out here, it might be difficult for Albon to get that podium. So what do you guys think? Let me know if you come across this video. Please hit like and subscribe. I'm going to start doing these videos at least twice a week. I'll try to get some sort of schedule where I'm going to release these type of statistical videos. I'm doing these stats for myself anyway, so I might as well throw them on YouTube. Anyway, thanks for watching.